Asket's Explanations Part 7. Billy and Jmmanuel will discuss several topics. Edward says, but many will not want to understand this. Jmmanuel says, that will be so, because their understanding about the truth is still very lacking. Truly, I say to you, it will also be these who will say that that which is transmitted by you corresponds only to lies or partial truths and therefore not to the full truth. They will say that everything presented and transmitted only serves the finding of the truth via one path, because many paths would lead to the truth. That is truly also the case if all paths are considered. But what I convey and what you will also convey is the truth in the truth. This truth does not represent a path to the truth. Rather, it is truly the ancient all-primeval truth itself. It can never be changed and always possesses the same values. It is the ultimate, the existing, the timeless, and that of the great time of all periods and levels. Edward says, you mean, according to the understanding of my time, that it is the eternal truth, and indeed in all dimensions of the material and the spiritual. Jmmanuel says, truly, that is so. In your time, of the great time, will be called eternity. Edward says, precisely, that is actually so, because the bigwigs of religion have high-handedly renamed the old appellation, great time age, eternity. Jmmanuel says, you speak the truth. Edward says, thank you, yet now tell me, is it very unwelcome to you if the people call you Jesus Christ, or similar? Jmmanuel says, truly, you precisely understand the sense of my thoughts. This name is wrong when applied to me, and I am aggrieved to know that it will be used for me in the future. I bring the teaching of the truth of the great time, and thereby do not do wrong. If one, however, associates me in any kind of manner with this name, then one accuses me of wrong and of lying. Edward says, you are very sensitive, Jmmanuel. Jmmanuel says, that is not so. It is only that this name, however, is not consistent with a sense of the truth, and it insults me. Edward says, I understand, I am very sorry. Jmmanuel says, you also feel to the same degree? Edward says, perhaps. But now it interests me whether the texts mentioned by you will really serve the truth in my time. I mean thereby the records of Judas Iscariot? Jmmanuel, truly, it will be they, even if they will initially be greatly doubted. Initially the accusation will be made that they are lies and a falsification, yet with time the truth will be victorious. But first much adversity and defamation will come about due to the text, even out of your own ranks. Yet the great time truth within the truth will always be victorious. Many attempts will be undertaken to cause the truth and the genuineness of the text to appear in the dark light and appear to be untruth. Yet all attempts will be useless, because the breaking through of the truth in your time is now already certain. Truly, very evil things against the text will be brought into play in order to revile it as lies and to destroy it. Very many paths will be trodden to that end. Out of foolishness, even lower spirits and the dead will be called upon, although that is impossible, in order to revile my teachings, newly presented by you, as lies, in the same way as do the scribes, the Pharisees and the priests of my time, who were only able to come into contact with very lowly, ignorant and misled humans and influence them by means of belief. So will it also be in your time, because the humans of your time will have succumbed just as much to delusional beliefs and ignorance as have the humans of my time. That will truly be a wicked evil in your time too. Edward says, they are indeed not exactly rosy outlooks. What will be asserted then in order to put into question the genuineness of your teaching and the text and to make the accusation that they are lies? Jmmanuel says, truly, there will be very many paths trodden to that end. A new form of the lie will, however, be this, It will be asserted that the text is indeed very valuable and contains certain truths, yet it does not transmit my teaching. Rather, it is only the teaching of another who has also borne the name Jmmanuel. It will even be doubted that I am Jmmanuel, and I will be forced into another person's identity. This will result in association with the name Jesus Christ, malevolently given to me. It will be asserted that I, Jmmanuel, would not be falsely named Jesus Christ, so it is supposed to appear that I, Jmmanuel, and the person of Jesus Christ, who I am imputed to be, have been two different people. These further lies about me will be invented about me very early in your time. Edward says, those are indeed quite cheery outlooks, and I can prepare myself for all kinds of things. But now I just have a somewhat different question, and indeed in relation to Christmas festivities. You do indeed certainly know that your birthday is celebrated in my time as Christmas festivities. Do you find that correct? Jmmanuel says, many festivities are carried out in honor of deceased persons who have some sort of significance. Truly, this is nothing more than a cult surrounding personalities in order to honor them or thereby to promote wealth for a few. Honor should befit the honorable, whereby a memory of them remains preserved. But neither a cult, or a business for the acquisition of wealth, should ever be made out of that. In your time you call the cult around me religion. Truly that is very well known to me. But this religion is interspersed with very many false teachings of manifold forms, as well as with duplicity about the time of my birth. In your time you celebrate the day of my birth on December 24th of any given year. But this is only the day of the festival of a bloodthirsty idol from the lands of the Parsi peoples. Note from Billy, later Persia, called Iran since 1934, and does not come near to equating to the day of my birth. Your calculation of time truly does not correspond to reality, and therefore neither do your calculations about the time of my birth. According to your time's calculation of time, the day of my birth is determined as the 3rd day of the 2nd month. Edward says, you mean the 3rd of February. Jmmanuel says, this is what you designate this time. Edward says, you must indeed know it precisely, but why did this time difference come about? Jmmanuel says, on one hand, it was handed down wrongly, and on the other hand, through erroneous calculations and continual innovations to the manner in which dates were calculated. Edward says, that is evident. But you have a manner of speech which I constantly hear from you, also which was quite obviously correctly handed down to my time, namely the word, truly, or, truly, truly. On what basis do you always weave in this word, and what does it signify to you? Jmmanuel says, it is a quirk of mine for the strengthening of my words. Truly only a quirk, such as every human possesses. One can express the sense of the word in different forms. By weaving in this word, however, you can circumvent many other descriptive words which often require long interpretations.